Hi, and welcome to Inside Out X, where I'm delighted today to be interviewing Jim Woods. Jim, welcome to the Inside Out X platform.
Rob, thank you so much for having me. I've been at the last two Wellness Wednesdays, and I love them. They're a really important part of my week now.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to see you supporting them. And where are you calling in from, Jim?
So I'm at home, amazingly, in just outside Oxford.
Brilliant. And how are you adapting to the whole new world and remote working? How's it been for you?
I think that, there's a lot I really like about it. There's some really positive things around not having to travel into London, lots of more time with my family. But I think it's there's a lot of challenges as well, a lot of adapting to new behaviours, and I think the bit I find hardest is really the big picture and just seeing these sort of enormous numbers of how many people are in furlough at the moment and not getting too anxious about the sort of the big picture, really.
Yeah, and I think that it's a challenge, isn't it? Because we're seeing all of this going on around us. We're exposed to the media portrayal of it all, and actually it can get on top of you if you don't consciously have those kind of breaks from it, really, and find ways to get your mind elsewhere.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of a lot of what we're going to be talking about today, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So great to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of BetterSpace? Where did that come from, Jim?
Yeah, okay. So I've been an entrepreneur for about 20 years, and for the last 10 years, really in the social entrepreneurship space, so doing a lot of work around climate change and environmental issues. And a couple of years ago, I felt mental health was really one of the big challenges facing society today, and I wanted to come and get involved, and ended up joining something called Zinc and ended up with BetterSpace.
And what's BetterSpace all about?
So the problem we're really trying to solve at BetterSpace is this is a very personal area. So we all have different needs around sleep or exercise or social connections, and we have different preferences around apps or books or products. So there's no one size fits all solution in this space. So the problem we've set out to solve is making it easier for people to find what will work for them. And that's really something we can solve through technology now, through profiling, through algorithms, through peer reviews. You can pull those parts together and make a very personal suggestion to people.
I think you're right there. And as somebody who experiences a mental health challenge, as you know, with bipolar disorder, I've gone through that period of trial and error over many, many years to work out that, look, exercise is priority number one. Social connection is really important, and making sure I get quality sleep is also very important. But I think if you've got average or moderate mental health, you've never really had to go through that period of discovery, have you?
Absolutely. And I think you probably could call it low levels of literacy for mental health for the majority of people. But what's fascinating, I think, at the moment is just seeing how very quickly that is changing. We're all saying to each other, how are you? And we're saying it like we really mean it. And people are giving quite long answers, and people are really starting to discuss their mental health in a way that they never did before. And I that to me is one of the great positives that's going to come out of this, is a much higher rate of mental health literacy.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think hopefully that we'll see a more human world with people valuing the connections that we get from both a social connection point of view, but a supportive on our mental health point of view as well. I know you've been doing some work at BetterSpace in putting some surveys out there to find out how people are perceiving the current challenging times due to coronavirus are affecting their mental health and well-being. What sort of things are you seeing come out of that survey, Jim?
Well, okay, so we got a couple of surveys running. The first one we ran with a large law firm last week. And there we were asking them, how has the impact of coronavirus and home working impacted your mental health and well-being? 56% said that it's worse or much worse. 60% said better, and 4% said much better. So 20% seeing an improvement, 56% seeing a deterioration. And I think that's probably a really interesting result, actually, because it's important. There are some people who actually do thrive in these circumstances of less travel, but also, more uncertainty. So they are very important people for us getting through this. But I think it is worth noting that we're seeing a deterioration in mental health and well-being as a result of it.
Yeah, and there's some background noise there. I think we're all focused on the challenges of kind of working from home. I just had my 8-year-old roller skate past the studio that I'm working in, so I think that's part of the stress that we're facing. But it's really interesting, isn't it, that we're seeing some people, their mental health and well-being, their perception of that go up, and you're right, it's actually more time with family. It's being able to, not have to travel extensively on an aeroplane. And I think those positives will hopefully take in the legacy to what our working world looks like post the challenging crisis. But clearly, for the majority, we're seeing rising anxiety, we're seeing isolation, we're seeing physical social distancing, meaning people might be feeling the symptoms of depression for the first time in their lives even. I guess there's a lot of innovation going on around trying to help people cope with that, and we're seeing an explosion of things come to the market. And I guess that brings us nicely on to how you're adapting and pivoting with BetterSpace into a product called BetterSpace Now. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that, Jim?
Absolutely. Before we do that, I just want to pick up on the sort of explosion of resources. When we look at the survey data, and we look at the people who seem to be doing better, they're tending to do a lot more for a lot more new behaviours around managing their mental health. And actually, so there was a second survey that we've got running, which is kind of open with anyone who wants to fill it in. And we're seeing that 82% are checking in with people more than usual. 77% are using video conferencing platforms more than usual. 50% are doing online exercises classes that they weren't doing before. 27% are doing online meditation they weren't doing before. So you're seeing really a massive shift in behavior. And what I think the clear message that we see coming through this is the time to do that. This is going to be the new normal, and all these behaviors are ours. They're all of ours. And so I think the big change for us at BetterSpace was thinking there are always some people who will adapt well in crisis. But how would it be if everyone could adapt well, if everyone had access to these new behaviors? And we felt that we were in a really interesting position to help here, because we built this platform called BetterSpace, which is a well-being marketplace. We've developed it with Linklaters and other law firms, and we thought, how about we make that free? We make it accessible to everybody. We find all the best things that are good for managing mental health at home and in isolation. We put it in one place. We particularly get all the free stuff together. And if we collaborate with our community, can we build this super fast and build a great product? And that was 3 weeks ago. We made that decision. We've gone into beta testing this week. So we've broken all of our records in terms of building a product quickly. It's a very exciting time. It's been a lot of work for our team and probably our families as well. But it's been very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations on the pace of change. I'm really keen to understand a bit more as to how the solution, how BetterSpace Now works. Can you give us a run through and talk us through that?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, we build up a profile of you. So we ask you some questions on the way in, and then we put together a continuously evolving set of resources on there. So they're kind of things that might be in the edges of your vision, might be in hashtags, might be in email updates. These are sort of behaviors, things like safaris. So at the moment, a lot of safaris are closed because people can't travel, but you're starting to get some of the safari guides are filming live and live streaming safaris.
Amazing.
And so you can now start to watch safaris from home. You couldn't do that before.
Yeah.
and it's becoming democratized. And then you can start to watch them with other people. So through BetterSpace, and you can find a safari in there. You can invite one of your colleagues or a friend to go on safari with you, and you can chat through the chat function and discuss the lions and tigers that you're looking at. So suddenly you've got a democratization of this process. So a lot more people can go on safari. Now, most people don't know about that yet. Yeah. And that's really our job, is to help you find, whether it's the Joe Wicks home exercise classes, the safaris, DJ D Nice, an American DJ who had 100,000 virtual party goers at his club on Instagram Live last week. There is an explosion of things, and that's really our job at BetterSpace, is to help you find all those things quickly.
Brilliant. Sounds great. So should we take a quick look?
Sure.
So I'm just going to share a screen here where we've got just a short video of the screen grab of the platform, haven't we, Jim? So that should be popping up. And tell you what, I'm going to sort of get out of the way. Then hopefully you can have a better look at the screen. So, Jim, I'm going to hit play on this now. So you want to start talking us through what's going on?
Yeah, so this is someone who's already filled in their wellbeing assessment. So this is how they've scored themselves on key areas like sleep and social connections. And this is what the algorithm reads from, and then starts to make suggestions, which will appear below. Sorry for my daughter walking in the door there. As you say, this is the era of home working. So yeah, down below you've got fitness classes, Instagram pages, Joe Wicks, which I mentioned earlier. So Joe Wicks, you can choose the time you want someone to attend. You can invite your friend, you can personalize it, you put in their email address. They could be a friend, they could be a colleague, and then you press send, and that invite will then head off to your intended recipient, who can see when it's on, understand about it. They can accept the invitation, and then suddenly it becomes a social event. So here is an example of how you can update your well-being stats. So you can just very quickly, using these sliders, tell the algorithm how your life might be changing. And if you do this regularly, it starts to become a way of just seeing how you're doing, but also the algorithm in response to these will make different suggestions. So you're continuously getting different suggestions. And here probably, well, I might stop at this point, Rob, but this is just showing you some other ways you can make commitments through the platform. But I think what I hopefully have shown you is that this is both a social platform, it's a social network, and it's a marketplace of things that are great for you, great for your mind, and giving you a glimpse of the functionality that we have in there.
Fantastic, Jim. Well, if you click your camera back on and sort of rejoin us on our virtual stage there, and I'll get rid of that demo. That was brilliant. And so I guess in summary, what we're seeing there is a curation of all the wonderful new resources that are coming to the market, and a lot of them are free, right? Such as the Joe Wicks classes, and people can access these things from home. But the problem you're looking to solve is, I guess, twofold. One, it's the literacy and the awareness of those resources, but it's also the discovery of what actually might be really beneficial on an individual and personalized basis. So if somebody is struggling with sleep, then there's a bunch of resources on sleep. Is that how it works?
Exactly. So it's a sort of ever-growing directory, but an ever personalized directory as well.
Fantastic. Well, this is so exciting. And what's your vision for this part of BetterSpace's journey? What would you hope to achieve with BetterSpace now?
Well, we want to help the maximum number of people now. So we set out to help 10 million people by 2025. And I think we've got a real opportunity to do that through BetterSpace now. So it's free. There are free resources. There are no barriers to accessibility here. You can use it as a single user. You can create groups of your friends, or you can use it in enterprise. So it's literally there for everybody. So the question now is, how quickly can we get it out there? And we're just putting a big call out to collaborators, to our networks. Come and beta test with us. Come and beta test with groups. Let's get this out there as fast as we can. So that's the vision, is just really get it out there to everybody as fast as can.
Brilliant. And I know listeners and watchers of this will be keen to get involved. How can they help, Jim? How can they help you get this message out there?
So we've created what we call a collaboration survey, which takes about 10 minutes to fill in. And that's how we're collecting a lot of stats on how people's life is changing at the moment. But it also gives you different areas where you can help us through testing, whatever. So that's I've put that link up onto the chat. And that's really the starting point. Everyone who fills that in will then put them into various channels, from being on our advisory board to a whole variety of different things. So that's the starting point.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'll include that link down below in the details with this post. So Jim, really good to get that insight. Thank you for sharing that. We're all behind you and the BetterSpace team in getting this out there. What's your one top tip for people who are perhaps struggling a little bit with that change and feeling like their mental health is being challenged, maybe for the first time that they've really noticed in their lives? What would be your one top tip for people who are feeling like that?
I think it's experiment. There's so much out there. It's sometimes just hard to do things. Someone I follow on Twitter posted this morning, I woke up and the last thing I wanted to do was go on a run. And I went on a run and I feel so much better. And I think these things they're not easy to do. Often we have to get ourselves to do them, but then when we do them, we realize why they're great for us. So my message would be, go and experiment.
Yeah, I think that's right, and try different things. And as someone that's spent a decade of experimentation to work out how to effectively, proactively manage my mental health because of my own personal challenges, just trying things is great. And actually there's so many new things to try, and hopefully BetterSpace now will help people with that journey of discovery. So thanks again. I wish you a fantastic and restful weekend that we're heading into, the long weekend, and best of luck with everything you're doing on BetterSpace now.
Rob, thank you so much for having me. Real pleasure to be on it, and thank you for all the amazing work you're doing in this space.
Pleasure.